welcome Kari Nealeigh. Wanted to have you on our little podcast here. We are obviously getting to know each other and wanted to just kind of throw to you and introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Kari Nealeigh. I'm a real estate agent here in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. I also have another business, Freedom Multifamily Acquisitions, which is in the real estate realm as well. It's where we basically buy apartments and have investors and, join us in these purchases and then sell them for profit so they make, good money on their money. So I also am an analyst currently for a mortgage servicing company.
Okay. You got a lot going on.
I do.
You're busy.
Keeps
How
me
long?
out of trouble.
Yeah, tell me about it. How long have you actually been a realtor?
Since 2020. Yeah, during the lockdown and pandemic and everything, there was a lot less going on, no more, everything was closed. So I was getting kind of bored, and it was kind of my opportunity to jump in to get my real estate license. So I ended up taking classes online. And then once they opened it up back to testing in person, then I went and took my test and got licensed.
Nice. And then how long have you been doing the other companies?
Freedom, I started about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I've been working for this mortgage servicing company for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow. Wow. So
Mhm.
you have quite a bit of a background in that mortgage/real estate
Yep.
space, right? What do you love about being a realtor?
I love being able to help people get into their dream home and, just helping them, especially people that don't even know that they can buy a home. That's really why I got into it in the beginning. Because I had my kid at 23, so I was a young mom. And then 5 years later, I purchased my first home as a single mom. So then I was like, wow, okay, if I can do this and buy a house, just completely on my own and raising this little kid by myself, then other people can do it too. And so I was just really like, people are wasting their money renting while they could be gaining equity by owning a home.
Yeah, 100%. So how many kids do you have?
I just have the one.
One. So you're a working mom with
Yeah.
you're being pulled all over the place.
Yes.
So, obviously you got into real estate as a realtor during kind of a crazy
Hmm.
time in our world. Um,
Yeah.
so you've seen a lot in the last 3.5, 4 years in real estate. Lots of things have changed. Obviously, with interest rates going up as much as they have over the last
Yeah.
couple of years. When somebody comes to you that's potentially wanting to buy, but maybe they're a little apprehensive because of all of what's going on, with home prices, especially in Colorado, and with mortgage rates being higher than what they were probably hoping they would be. What do you
Hmm.
tell those people? Kind of explain the situation and make them comfortable about the market and why it's important to buy now rather than waiting.
Right. So, yeah, that's a good question. So, when the interest rates are high like they are right now, and they're going to continue to rise, so you basically want to get in before they keep going up. And then, once they do come back down, you're already in your house, you've already purchased, even though it's at a higher percentage rate, you can, when they start coming down, you can refinance at that time. But also, what's going to happen during that time is the prices for homes are going to go up because there's going to be, a lot more competition on the market with people wanting all the buyers are going to want to buy at that time because the
Right.
interest rates are low, and then it's going to be hard for them to get into it, but then prices are also going to get jacked up because of the demand.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, 2, 3 years ago, when interest rates were better, and I always use kind of the analogy, like if you think about a $500,000 home back in 2021, because of how much competition there was, that $500,000 home, you were probably actually buying for 550,000 or
Hmm.
more. And more than likely it was not going to appraise for 550,000. So you were bringing more cash out of pocket to meet that appraisal gap. And so even though you had potentially a much better interest rate in 2021, you might have been paying 50, 60, $100,000 more on that house. And so if you look at it now, you're probably paying closer to what the house is worth, or at least what it's selling for. You're not paying a really large amount over asking price. Yeah,
Right.
your payment's higher, but that's something we can fix down the line, right? You can do a refinance,
Right,
whatever.
exactly. Because when you're looking at like the big picture over the course of, how long you're going to be living in this house, then you're basically saving more money by buying now, being able to potentially refinance later at a lower interest rate and not paying those increased amounts for, when the rate does go down and then the market jumps up.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
also, I would tell my clients too, that there are assumable loans out there. And there's a lot of like FHA, VA loans that you can assume for those low interest rates.
Yep. We're starting to see a lot of that come back for sure. Tell me what what has been your best experience as a realtor?
So my best experience was I had a client who they were looking for a place. They were debating which agent to go with. And I've been talking to him on and off, and they ended up finding like their dream home on their own. And it was all the way over in Montrose. And then they chose me to be their agent. And I told them that we do have a program also with HomeLight to where they can buy their new home first and stay in their place so they don't have to sell it just yet. It gives them time to move, pack, and then, make sure that the house is all clean and empty before they go. And so they took me up on that offer. And around closing time, I actually drove out there and I did like the last inspection or walkthrough with them and did the closing in Montrose.
Nice.
Got to do some four wheeling in my Forerunner with
I was
them.
gonna say that's fun.
Pretty
That's
fun.
fun.
Mhm.
That's a home lights. That's and similar programs. There's a few different options out there, but
There is.
that's a good program. I actually work with a lender myself that we have access to that we could do home light through. So I've done a couple of those. Definitely a great way to be able to get rid of that contingency of having to sell
Hmm.
your home before you buy. So it's great for the right client for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the flip side, what
Mhm.
um since you've been a real estate agent, what's been your worst experience?
So my worst experience was just this last fall, well, and summer. And I had a client who was selling their home. So I was their listing agent, and they just ended up taking like 3 months to be able to move out and get everything cleaned and ready for, to be able to list it properly
Yeah.
on the MLS. I did, like, when they were in that process, like early July, I did reach out to some investors that I have. I have a network of investors in the area, and reached out to them to see if they wanted to do, because the house needed work. And then so I got some offers from the investors. They weren't as satisfactory to the sellers, so they didn't accept anything at that time. So we ended up listing around like the end of September. So we lost a lot of time during that, period where they were trying to pack and move out and get everything cleaned. So it was very stressful. And when I was able to finally list it at the end of September, the weather's getting colder, kids are already back in school, people are preparing for the holidays. So there was like no, well, I wouldn't say no. I would like very minimal interest from, regular buyers at the time. It was like a 3 bedroom, tri-level, 2.5 bathroom home. So it was in a great neighborhood in Centennial, like over by Newton Middle School.
Yeah, yeah. Good
And
area.
there was just no interest. I did get a feasibility report. I paid for it. They cost around like $500. So that was like a gift that I did for them while I was listing it, because the house did need work. And I wanted to market it as, a renovation, because there are FHA and VA and conventional, you can get a loan
Yeah.
with the property still needing work. They would just appraise it at the remodeled price,
Yep.
or when it was remodeled. So that's how you're able to get into it. But there was just no interest at that time with like the regular buyer's market. So we were only getting offers with investors. The offers that we were getting kept coming in lower and lower, and the market starting to change. Prices are going down. We were only getting investor offers, and they ended up finally agreeing to one of those lower offers, which was very disappointing. To whereas if we were able to get it, or even if they accepted the offer way back in July from the investor, it would have been more than what it was then. So, yeah, I would just recommend, like, when you're planning on listing a home, moved out, ready and cleaned, and like really make that a priority, so that you make top dollar on your property.
Yeah, that's a tough situation, especially during that time when, you know, this was what, a year ago, or close to,
Almost, yeah.
you
And
know,
interest rates were rising too.
yeah, they were rising. It was a tough time for everybody just because it was such a shock to the system with, I think, a lot of people in terms of what their expectations with interest rates were. And let's be honest, we had all gotten kind of spoiled, right? Oh, these twos and
Hmm.
threes in terms of interest rates, that was artificially done. Let's go there first. That was not the real interest rate market. And so, for a lot of people, the interest rates went up so fast that it was almost like I had a lot of buyers myself that were, qualified for X amount based off of an interest rate, and they didn't pull the trigger for whatever reason. And then 6 months later, they wanted to buy a house, and now the interest rate was double or more than what they were expecting, and all of a sudden they couldn't qualify for as much. And so,
Yeah,
like
that's
with your
frustrating.
clients, it was sort of the same thing. They got affected by that because a lot of the people that may have bought their home earlier in the year didn't want to because they were all so scared of interest rates.
Hmm.
And so they
Yeah.
got caught in that tough, very tough market at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. What would you anything you would do differently with that situation, or do you think it was just kind of more of a
Um,
confluence of,
yeah, I mean, it was a good learning lesson for me too, because the other issue with that was that they wanted to price the property higher than what it was like the market value. So that was kind of a struggle too. So I think that I should have probably put more, giving them more information. I mean, I did my analysis, my market research. I did it twice actually. So once at the beginning and then another time when we were getting ready to list it again. And that's the other reason why I wanted to get that feasibility report, because what that does is it gives us, we have somebody come in, a HUD inspector comes in, and they look and see exactly what the issues are and provide you exactly what needs to be done, how much it's going to cost just to get up to FHA standard.
yeah,
With that, they were able to, we were able to utilize that. So we knew, okay, this is how much is needed or required in renovations in order for FHA or VA buyers to even be able to buy this property. And then, so I factored that in with all the other comparables, and gave them a price that was a lot lower than what they thought their home was worth.
yeah,
Um, I know that this is very common with sellers, is they're very emotionally attached with their home. There's a lot of emotion in that. And I get it because I've been there. I've sold in my townhome at one point, so I get it. Um, and it's just, they got to come back to reality and really think, be like, okay, I have the actual numbers here. I see what has been sold. I see that, all of these properties sold were completely renovated and look beautiful and are, perfect. And okay, so there's all these other things that needs to be done, and account for that when they're listing it.
yeah,
And so that's the other thing that I would recommend for buyers or sellers too, is to take that into serious consideration,
yeah,
when they're listing their property, because you want to make it, you have to list it right at the right price. That's the number one reason why properties sit on the market for so long or don't sell for what, they were even supposed to at that time because it's priced too high.
Yeah.
And once you price it at the correct, price range for the market and, the type of home and everything, take all those factors into consideration, that's when you're going to be able to get those buyers that in that right price range.
For sure. Why are you optimistic about real estate moving forward in Colorado?
Well, Colorado is a great place to live. Everybody is moving here. Everybody keeps moving here. It's a great market. Prices or like the equity, the home values are always increasing. I don't really see anything happening to say otherwise as far as that goes. So people getting into a home, you're going to be there for, a couple years. You're already going to have equity in your house, and then it's just going to keep going up.
I say it all the time in Colorado, even with where interest rates are at right now, it's a great investment. There's nothing like real estate in terms of being able to grow your money. If a client was to come to you and say, "Hey, I'm considering you and another real estate agent,"
Mm-hmm.
why should they use you?
Well, they may not. It really just depends on their client, their needs specifically. You got to be able to connect with that person. You're going to be in like a relationship with that person essentially for, a very serious emotional transaction. So I may not be, and that's okay. Any client, even if they're mine or coming to me, potential client, I want what's best for them. So if maybe they have another agent that they, get along with better, or they have better programs, or, for whatever reason, I'm totally okay with that. On the other hand, I do have access to like a lot of marketing materials. I'm in the luxury division, LoKation Real Estate. I have like this whole team behind me that like totally backs me up in like all areas of the transaction, which is super helpful and gives me the ability to be, respond instantly and, get all these things like immediately, like listing, marketing stuff and everything. Yeah. And then just like my extensive background and everything in real estate, in the mortgage industry. And I even have some education in the design aspect. So I went to the Art Institute for Interior Design, and I
Wow.
did some industrial design at Metro. So yeah, there's that.
Are you a native?
I am.
Nice. I'm not.
Yeah.
I,
Okay.
we moved out here when I was 8, and so I'm
Okay.
very close to
You are
being able to have
close.
that bumper sticker, but
I don't even have it. So
yeah, but they
no,
won't give it to
good.
me. So, last question. What would you think, in terms of helping people or real estate or really anything, what do you think your biggest strengths are?
It's probably just the wide variety of my background with, even in like where I work now, back in what was it, like 2012 is where I learned to do underwriting for loan modifications. And then I went into processing for loan modifications and short sales and deed and lose. So I
Yeah.
have, that background on how really the mortgage end works too. I was also licensed as a mortgage loan officer in 2016.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of different areas in the real estate and I have some good understanding in. I'm in the progress of getting my life insurance license too. And I feel like that's really beneficial for my clients and,
Yeah.
the real estate to help them either invest in other properties. Cause I just learned myself that you can use life insurance for life stuff. It's not just death benefits, but you
Yep.
can use it for life benefits too, which I thought was so cool and that everybody needs to know this. So that's another thing that I wanted to share too. And so after, I can get my clients into their home, their dream home, then I can, help them with life insurance and like the different policies to see what would work best for them to keep them in their home.
Yeah. That's actually it's funny you say that because I actually have my life insurance license.
Oh, nice.
I was similar to you where you got your real estate license during COVID. I got my life insurance license during COVID.
Oh, nice.
And I've always sort of kicked around, even going farther and getting, like a financial, like a Series 6 or something like that. And it's a great segue for your clients because you can help them with this huge purchase, and then you can help them protect that for that purchase moving forward. It's a great way to kind of be another resource for your clients for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Well, that will do it. This was great. I think we got a lot of great information for your clients and why they should work with you. And you've got so much experience in the industry. There probably isn't a whole lot that you haven't seen or that you can't navigate.
Right, exactly. And I've got like a big network behind me too, like being in all these different areas as well. One other thing that I wanted to mention too is I am highly active in the community. So I do a lot of giving back in like a lot of it is in Highland Ranch here. So I'm part of the Highland Ranch Puppies volunteer,
That's
where I
awesome.
help train and raise puppies for the blind. And then
Amazing.
thank you. I'm also a sponsor and supporter for a podcast, Don't Judge a Girl by Their Size. I'm also involved in WISE. It's a commercial real estate investment group that meets up once a month. I'm a Denver chapter lead there. So help just giving information, educating people. We bring in speakers like once a month to the Denver Tech Center. Usually it's where it's held.
Okay.
So I'm a part doing that for the community.
Yeah.
Actually really does relate to real estate too, because a couple of them where I was on the architectural committee as a board member for an HOA. Actually, it was at my townhomes that I lived
Yeah.
at in Centennial. So, and then being on there for like a year or so, they invited me to become a board member. So then I was actually on the board as well, which was pretty cool.
So you've got no free time.
No, I think I've gotten really good at managing my
When was the last time you went on
life.
vacation?
I would say just this March,
Nice.
like a month ago.
Where'd you go?
Well, it was half vacation, half work.
Okay.
So I went to Orlando. I went to Peak Partnership. So I'm in a mentorship program with the multifamily mindset. That's where I'm, learning how to acquire these multifamily properties, like these large apartment complexes.
Yeah.
And that's the huge network that's behind me on that, which has been really amazing. I love it. And it was through them where I was able to purchase my first apartment complex, which was 128 units. So that's in Arkansas, which
That's
happened
awesome.
last June. So I did that for the beginning part of my vacation. And then at the end of it, I just relaxed and hung out, and I brought my son with me. So we just had a nice hangout there.
Yeah, people that are getting into real estate and or mortgages will quickly realize that when you go on vacation, you still end up working. Because we can really do this from just about anywhere. Now, obviously, you can't show a
Yeah.
home, but you can do a lot of other stuff
You can
just from
delegate
your
that though.
phone or your laptop, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
my boyfriend says I'm a workaholic. So I guess that was like something I had to realize within the past year. But then, thinking about that, I'm doing stuff that I enjoy. So is it really work? You know?
well, that's it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not if you love what you're doing, then you're not actually you never work a day in your life, right? I don't know
Exactly.
exactly how the
Yeah.
saying goes, but I know it's something along those lines. But awesome. Well, hey, Kari, I appreciate your time today, and this was fantastic. Thanks
Yeah, it
for
was
coming on.
great. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for having me.
Yeah.